You've sold your house, your car, and business, everything you worked hard to build, because you've been told Japa is the way to a better life. Exuberant and hopeful, you step off the plane in the US or wherever you Japa to, thanking God for finally making it. But within weeks, the cash is gone. Your papers are taking longer than you thought. And that sinking feeling begins to set in. The dream starts to feel more like a nightmare. This reality hit home for us recently when we read a comment on our post, Japaing or Japadaing. The truth they are not telling.
It said, quote, I have a business in Lagos and I specialize in buying properties from Nigerians who want to Japa and need quick money. However, I always warn my customers not to sell all their properties because Europe or Canada is not what they think it is. I've had rich people sell me all their properties only to be deported and return to Nigeria with only the clothes they have on and mental illnesses, unquote.
This comment hit hard and inspired today's video. And if you haven't watched the Japaing or Japadaing video, click the link that will pop up somewhere here to watch it. Today, we are diving into the hard lessons from Japa gone wrong, the mistakes that can ruin dreams. And for those of you already here in the US with no plan, no papers, or no money to go back, you've already made the mistake. We've got actionable steps to help you turn things around.
Stick with us until the end. You don't want to miss this. Before we start, we have a special message for you. YouTube tells us that 84% of our regular viewers haven't subscribed yet. Are you in that 84% or in the 16% that have subscribed? If you've been enjoying our videos and the value we bring to you, we love to ask for your support. Hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell is the simplest way to help us.
By subscribing, you're helping us reach more people, grow our channel, and continue creating content that truly matters to you. We promise to always listen to your feedback, bring valuable content every week, and focus on topics that matter most to you. Thank you for being such a vital part of this community. We couldn't do this without you. Welcome to Cash Talk for Immigrants, where we share our immigrant journey through the US financial system to help others like you not only avoid our mistakes, but build wealth. My name is Christine, and as usual, I'm here with my beloved
Wachuku, Vidal Wachuku. When you hear about Japa, it's always about the dream, a fresh start, opportunities, escape from the challenges, the trials, and the struggles at home. It's usually the dream of a lifetime, a dream for which many, unfortunately, are ready to do anything, anyhow, to achieve. However, that sweet dream can quickly become a nightmare if you don't have a solid plan. Just think of the upfront cost alone, plane tickets, extra cash for survival, and these can run into thousands of dollars. You can easily be looking at $5,000 or more just for starters. Now, just convert that to most of our African currencies, and you'll be talking millions.
Exactly. And that's why so many sell everything they can lay their hands on to fund the move. But what happens when things fall apart and the center can no longer hold? Things like deportation, financial instability, losing it all with no backup plan. These are the harsh realities no one talks about, and we want to address that today.
Folks, selling all your assets to move abroad without a plan leaves you vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's not just about buying a ticket or getting your papers. There are many things most people don't deeply contemplate before Japaing. Things like finding stable work where you are going to, adjusting to a new culture, coping with the cold and the weather. You can see how I'm dressed. You can see how we are dressed. Cold. Then again, coping with the emotional toll of starting over without a support system, the type we are used to. Mm-hmm. I remember when we first came, though we were 4 in number, and we were here legally. Boy, there were times we felt so lonely, in spite of even having our church community. Mm-hmm. There were times we would take turns consoling each other. Yep. It's really a miracle. We survived those first 2 years.
Exactly.
It wasn't funny at all.
Then we have to talk of the financial strain. Mm-hmm. Many assume that as soon as they land, they will hit it big. But the truth is the grass isn't always greener
on the other side.
And even if it were greener, just wait for the water bill, right? As the comment stated, which he read, the country you are Japaing to is not what you think. Take America, for example. It's a highly individualistic society without the communal support we are used to back home. You know, you can't just go to your neighbor and knock on their door to say, oh, do you have salt? My salt, I ran out of
Mary,
salt.
Please give me some salt.
In this land of opportunity, you are primarily on your own.
Truly on your own. You remember that in the first place we lived, we didn't even know our neighbors in spite of living there for 23 months. Yep. Now, the absence of legal papers is a double whammy that can make life a real nightmare. Mm-hmm. Job options become limited. And this results in many ending up doing low-paying, under-the-table, and unsafe jobs. Under the table simply means jobs that the pay is not taxed, and they're not even commensurate with the labor that you put in, the work you put in.
And the government is not aware.
And then the government is not aware of it, and it's not taxed. It's not reported. Tell me, can true wealth be built under these conditions? Impossible. Plus, you can't even access public benefits like unemployment insurance or affordable health care if you fall sick. Imagine needing urgent care and having no way to pay for it. You can't even go to the hospital in the first instance, to the emergency room. That's the harsh reality for some in this country.
Coming to the US without legal papers, it's not just risky. It is a plan that can set you up for long-term trauma and misery. There's the risk of exploitation. Employers know they can take advantage of undocumented workers, so they offer unfair wages and dangerous working conditions. And the worst part, if something happens, you can't even speak up. You can't report abuse or fight for your rights without risking deportation. We know of a friend who told us that when she arrived here, she had no legal papers. And when she went to work, like she may work for a week before her pay, maybe on the day she's expected to be paid. Once she sees the employer taking phone and making a phone call, she just gets scared. And her husband has then told her, what are you still doing there? Just get out of that place. And that is how most times she has lost income she has worked for, because she was scared that they were reporting her.
And basic things like renting a home or even opening a bank account become significant hurdles. You can't get a driver's license in most states without proper documentation. And that constant fear of being caught, always looking over your shoulders and stiffening each time you sight a police officer. It's mentally and emotional draining. Now, I know that many people will tell you, well, they came like that and they have succeeded here. Do you really want to go through that emotional trauma?
The elephant in the room is the fear of all fears for most undocumented immigrants. Deportation. The reality is that no matter how long you have been here, without legal status, you are always one step away from being sent back. Families get torn apart and people lose everything they have worked for. They have labored, worked so hard under the table and done all those things, and they lose everything once
in
they
a
are,
jiffy.
yeah, once they are found.
Because you will be sent packing. Naked you came, naked you go. Even if you came with something, you will go with little or nothing.
They don't allow you to go.
You just go. They can bundle you from there. The next thing you're in a plane, you are out.
Yeah.
That's why you want to build a future on a strong and solid foundation. Not one that is on a sandy soil, as the scripture talks about. Building a house on solid foundation that will not crumble at any moment or very easily. When once there's a little shaking or
when
earthquake,
the winds and the rains will
come and it just goes. Explore legal pathways to come here. It might take longer, but it's worth it. Work visas, student visas, family sponsorship. These are some foundations you can build on. You know, desperation, they say, leads to bad decisions. And many have come here that have lost it. We have heard disturbing stories of undocumented individuals not only being exploited in the labor field, but also through contract marriages, or forced into situations where they suffer from severe mental, physical abuse and exploitation. Some have ended in jail. That's why it's important to take the time to plan strategically before, read my lips, before Japaing.
He talked about student visa. Yes, though you can come abroad with student visa, you need to have a plan if you intend staying back beyond your studies. A young Nigerian lady in tears, she was sobbing, recently shared her story on her YouTube channel about going to Asia to study. After 7 years, she was denied residence permit after her study. Now, here is the issue. Before you Japa based on student visa, research the country. Student visa is different from residency permit.
Completely.
A student visa allows you to enter the country for education purposes, educational purposes, to read, to study, to do bukuru. That's what it is for. But a residency permit is needed for longer stays.
Including working and all of that. Yes. You will need that. Now, it is wrong to assume that just because you came on a student visa, you will automatically be granted a resident permit. No, it doesn't work that way. And based on our little research, after watching that very sad and pathetic video, we realized that to obtain a residence permit in some Asian countries, you typically need to apply through the immigration offices within a specific time frame after arriving in those countries with your student visa. So if this lady in question applied outside the time frame, perhaps that's why she was denied, right? Even here in the US, it's virtually the same. Student visas do not automatically grant you residence rights or the right to work and continue to live here and earn a living here. No, after your school.
Yoruba people say,
Kosinko, right? Now, you have to apply for the residence permit or the work permit or whatever it is. And this has a completely different procedure or process, which you must find out if you want to take that path.
Yes, and that is before you Japa.
Exactly.
Find
out what it will take
when you get
and what
there.
you will need to do to transition.
Exactly. A student visa ordinarily implies that once you are done with school, you return home to your country.
Mm-hmm.
That is what that student visa does. That's all. Most immigrants here who came via student visa maintain it, those in the US, by continuing schooling forever. And I mean forever, until they get the residency permit. So you see that many acquire multiple doctorate degrees, not because they want to, but as a means of remaining here legally. So they finish one course. They may have come and started with a bachelor's degree. From bachelor's, they will go to master's. From master's, they will go to doctorate. And even when they finish that one, they will look for another different field to get a doctorate degree. And they continue like that.
That's why when they say that Nigerians are the most educated in this country, many people don't know.
Immigrants,
the most educated immigrants in this country. Many people don't know that it is things like this that make them keep on getting educated and they get educated.
So going back to school to get all these multiple degrees that you don't really need is a very expensive venture, unless you can get academic scholarships or grants. And most are not available to international students. Yes. So when we came, our youngest had to wait for 1 year to acquire a residency in our state before returning to school. Otherwise, we would have had to enroll her as an international student, which we couldn't afford. And I think you checked it. How much
it was going to cost 4 times the price of being a resident, the in-state student, as against an out-of-state international student. Then we have another category of people who come here at a very young age on student visas. And boy, come and see how some of them ended up messing up themselves because they were so young before they came here, or they become negatively influenced by the culture, by the society that they find themselves in. And we have instances, I can tell you quite a few stories like this. People who have come with high ambitions, their parents sent them here with big dreams and everything. They started off well, but somewhere along the line, they derailed. And today they are just here. They have become illegals, even though they came legally. No wonder my own father bluntly refused me coming here when I was 19. I got admission, did everything for myself, got my visa, got everything I was to come. The man took everything and tore. He said, you are not going anywhere until you are mature enough. So what's the bottom line of what we are trying to say here? Don't let desperation drive you into a situation that could do more harm than good ultimately. Parents, please, Mabinu, Ejo, Biko, do not send your young ones here alone without a solid support system. Plan wisely, think long term, and protect not only your future, but that of your words. Make sure there is a system where they can fit into somebody to chaperone them. I tell you, there are actually smarter ways to build the life you want, whether it is here or back home. Just think outside the box.
Exactly. And another thing most people don't consider is whether they are willing to do menial jobs for a start. When the church that brought us asked us that I look for a job, I couldn't find one in my field, which is law. I ended up working as a companion for the elderly, earning $8 an hour. Though I had a master's degree in law in Nigeria and 25 years post-call experience, here I was doing what was at best a menial
job. When
I told my husband the details of what I did at work, he muttered under his breath, America, the great leveler. Is this what my wife has been reduced to? It was very humbling, but it was also a reality check.
Honestly, I don't even want to remember those days because I didn't just mutter. Many times I went into our room and cried. She didn't know, but I felt so bad. I felt less that I had failed my wife, though it wasn't really our fault because the organization that brought us here had assured us that she would not need to work because they were going to pay us enough to take care of our needs. Then midstream, they said, go look for a job.
Yeah.
Because they were going to cut my salary, so they were not going to be able to sustain us both anymore. So that this clearly tells you that even when you come here legally, even when you, as we did, based on the promises we were made, something can change along the line. And again, it's not just about humbling experiences. People have to make sacrifices. People make a lot of sacrifices here. Washing dead bodies, doing the graveyard shifts, working multiple jobs with no sleep, just to survive.
Yep.
I know of somebody with a PhD who was a lecturer back in Nigeria. You don't even want to know what she does in this country to survive. And one of our friends once told us he would nap for 5 minutes in the bathroom just to be able to keep going, because he was working from multiple jobs, and he was illegal at that point in time, even though he came legal, but he became illegal. Now, these are some of the truths that no one will tell you. We are gray-haired. We will tell you the truth, and that's what we are doing. I have a cousin who was also a lawyer back home in Nigeria. He came here also legally through the front door, but ran out. His visa ran out. And then he stayed for a while. He couldn't cope with it. One day he packed. He said, I'm a prince back home, like the prodigal son. He went home. He said, let me go back home. I can succeed at home. And today I can tell you he's a success. Exactly. He comes to this country and goes as he pleases. But he realized on time and did the right thing.
Exactly. So as you see, never sell everything you own to Japa. Leave some assets, whether it's a property or a savings, so that you have something to fall back if things fall apart. Right?
That's what my cousin did.
Yeah, we didn't sell
and
everything.
We didn't either.
Yeah, we left something. So ensure to have an emergency fund and a plan B, so that if things don't work out, you want to be able to return home without starting from scratch.
Now, that plan B could be leaving something behind that will keep growing while you are here. If you have a property, if you have shares, you have other investments that can grow in your absence and even yield income. And by the way, remember that when you come here, you still have responsibilities back at home.
Exactly.
So if you have something back at home that can take care of those responsibilities, so that while you are here, you can use time to settle in. A lot of our videos refer to this. Settle in before you start thinking of sending home. So think strategically. Plan outside the box. How you are going to start and adapt into your new world. It's a new world. It's not home. And remember one thing. A lot of times when we are young, they say hard work gives you success. It's not just hard work. Otherwise, the top pushers will all have money because they work so hard. There are actually smarter ways to build wealth. It is smart ways. Think of that, not just hard work.
Yes.
Hard work works. It helps. Don't get us wrong, but it's not just hard work.
Let's not forget the mental health aspect that the comment talked about. Leaving home, chasing a dream, and then facing failure can take a huge toll on your well-being. The stress of chasing a dream and failing can break even the strongest person, the strongest human being. Build a support network and don't go it alone. We cannot overemphasize that Japa is not just about living. It's about knowing why you are living, where you are going, and having a solid plan before you sell something.
Yeah, not all, remember.
Before you sell something to buy that ticket.
Never sell all. That is our advice. Never sell all. Now, if you've already jackpot, you're already here. You're already wherever it is, Europe, Asia, wherever it is, and you don't have papers, you don't have money, you don't even have the way to go back. We want to address you now. We understand how overwhelming and isolating this can feel. But please, it's not the end of the road. There are steps you can take to rebuild right where you are, or to build up where you are. One of the first things is to find a supportive community. Don't think you're alone in this. There are many like you that are like that. And there are immigrant groups, churches, or non-profit organizations that can help connect you with resources, the resources you need, whether it's food assistance, housing, or legal advice. Some of this can be humbling, but you should be ready to humble yourself, because at this stage, you are stuck. You are in trouble. Remember, isolation will only make things more challenging and worse for you. That's not what you want to do. So again, start by asking around. Look for organizations that can support undocumented immigrants. I tell you, in a place like US, there are many.
Yes. And focus on creating a stable foundation. Even if you're undocumented, there are still ways you can earn money. Look for cash-paying jobs or freelance opportunities that don't require legal status. It might not be ideal like what you really want, but it's a stepping stone to keep you afloat while you work on a long-term plan. Jobs like construction or general labor, there are many small contractors who need workers for painting, landscaping, or repairs. You can even talk with some successful African immigrants. You can even offer cleaning services to clean their homes or offices. So connect with local families that you know in your community, or small business owners, or small businesses owned by other immigrants.
There are also freelance gigs like babysitting, tutoring, or even handyman work. Those things you consider nothing at home, you do them. Babysitting is always in demand in this country, especially within immigrant communities. And if you have a skill like tutoring kids in math or teaching a language, you can use that also.
Talking of teaching a language, I think there are immigrants here who want people that can teach local languages.
Yes, local Nigerian languages and other African languages.
So if you're good in that,
and the only way you can do that is if you get involved with your local community.
Immigrant community.
Yeah, if you get involved with your local communities, you can find out these things. You can snoop out what is going on, and you can find people that will help you. And if you are good with repairs, small handyman jobs can bring in quick cash. Starting any of these will give you an income and enable you to even save, even if it's just a little. But above all, be honest. Be honest. Remember, you're already on a shaky footing. Do not go into crime. Do not go into the dark side. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
So when you work and you get this little money and you're able to keep something aside, having this small financial cushion can give you options later. It can be to regularize your status, because you will need money for that, to pursue education, or even return home if that becomes necessary. Also, don't underestimate the power of education and skill building. There are free or low-cost online courses and certifications that don't require paperwork to enroll. So gaining skills can open doors to better opportunities, even without papers.
Look at the Hispanic community.
Exactly. They help themselves.
Some of them here that are not legal. Many of them, our people pale into insignificance when you compare it with them. But they survive and they thrive. Why can't you? One other critical step is to seek legal advice. Don't assume your situation is hopeless. Immigration laws are complex, and sometimes actually, there are options you might not know about or never heard about, like special visa programs, asylum applications, or pathways to regularization. Look for nonprofit organizations offering free or low-cost legal services. And if you feel completely stuck, consider rethinking your strategy. You may want to be like my cousin, who decided to go back home when it was still, the days were still early. He didn't wait until he had gotten rotted in the system. Immediately he saw the sign, he went back home, and today is a success. So going back to your home country might not be your first choice. Yes, I know.
And it doesn't make you a failure.
And it doesn't mean you are a failure.
No.
But it doesn't, doing so doesn't mean you have to go back and start from zero, which is why we say, if you have kept any assets back home, do not sell all. You can leverage these ones to rebuild, just as this cousin of mine did.
Yes, and if you did not leave any assets back home, you can still take what you have learned here. Remember, we talked about skills, going for all these online courses and other things. So you can use it to make a fresh start back home. The key is not to give up. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you are out of options. Take it one step at a time. Connect with the right people and keep working towards a more stable future. Remember, you are stronger and more resourceful than you think.
Yes.
We hope this helps you feel less alone and gives you a clearer path forward. And for anyone considering Japa without a solid plan, think carefully about the risk. And if you're already here and you have joined your immigrant community to help you, try to be honest. Don't try to play them. Don't try to play smart, because people that are already trying to help you, they get easily frustrated, and you will see that everybody will turn their back on you.
In other words, honesty remains the best policy. So let me repeat again. If you're already thinking about making this move to Japa, remember, you don't have to sell everything you have. You don't have to sacrifice everything you have just because you want to Japa. Please do not do it. I assure you, we did it. If for any reason we return home today, while we may not have, one huge job waiting for us, I can assure you we have so much to go back with that we have learned. Besides, we have a roof over our heads back home. We are not going to sleep under the skies or under the sun. No. Be wise. Stay informed. Be strategic and protect your future. Prepare yourself. We have addressed some of the financial strategies most immigrants overlook, the mindset shifts required to thrive, and the actions that need to be taken to achieve success in this land, in the diaspora. So, click on our playlist. It's somewhere right here. We'll meet you there.